I'm David Smith from networklasvegas.com, and I'm here with Stan Shields. And we are presenting the webinar, Networking Follow-Through Made Easy. And when your networking follow-up system is easy and automated, you'll discover the power of consistent and sustainable follow-up to accelerate your business growth. So this webinar it may be especially useful for those who attend networking meetings, and maybe you have you leave that meeting with a stack of business cards, and those business cards go in on your desk for about a week or two, and then they go into a drawer, and maybe they go into a shoe box, and you wonder, maybe there's something you could do that would result, it would create more results from your networking, but you don't know where to start. Or maybe you've made some starts, you've done a few things, and it just doesn't click. It's not consistent. There's not a system. Well, if you'd like to have a system of follow through that is going to result in increasing your network results by a factor of 5 to 10 times the benefit from every networking meeting you attend. If you've ever dreamed of having that happen, you're in the right place. We're going to help you with that. And the reason we can do that is we're here with Stan Shields. And Stan there's two things about Stan that I'm going to share that really set him apart as the guy that is uniquely positioned to help us in the area of network follow through. The first thing is that Stan is quite an expert when it comes to creating systems for follow through. Stan grew a 40-member 8K a month martial arts organization to 250 members and 40K a month by creating a seamless flow from first contact through client acquisition and exceptional customer service all the way to repeat and referral business. He helps clients design and implement easy prospecting, follow-up, and client management systems that streamline and activate amazing business growth results. So Stan has actually done this in a business. He's created a follow-up system. It's very successful, and now he's making this available to other businesses. And in this webinar, he's going to help us to create those systems for ourselves. So what I'd like you to do is in this webinar, I'd like you to just think of what kind of follow-up system do you currently have after a networking meeting or after a one-to-one meeting. What kind of follow-up system do you have? How effective is it? And is there one thing you could do to increase the effectiveness of your follow-up? 80% of sales are made between the 5th and the 20th touch. And these are the words of Stan, actually. 89% of salespeople give up on or before the 4th touch. You're going to learn how to consistently and strategically make more touches, more sales, more revenue, and more profit. When your networking follow-up system is easy and automated, you'll discover the power of consistent and sustainable follow-up to accelerate your business growth. So what I'd like to do now is ask you, Stan, why is it important to consistently follow up on business prospects?
All righty, David. Thank you for that amazing introduction. I appreciate that. So, really, to answer that question, I mean, it's kind of common sense, really, that you know we want to consistently follow up prospects so that they remember who you are when they need you. Unfortunately, I think too often people think that meeting somebody one time and that when the person needs them, they're going to remember who they are and how to get in touch with them and so forth. And it doesn't really happen that way. We meet people and we think, oh, wow, that's great. But a year later, when we need that, if we did not put them in a database of some kind, we will, we'll scratch our head and say, who was that person that I met? I met somebody that could help me with this, but I don't remember who it is. If you have some mechanism for consistently following up with them, now they will know who you are, because you'll be the next thing on my bullet point there, you'll be the top of mind. And so you'll be the person that they'll think to go to when they have a need for whatever it is that you're offering. And then the last thing is that it really helps to create referral partner relationships, meaning that I might not need your service right at this moment, but if I have you top of mind and I meet someone that needs your service, then I will be able, or that person will be able to refer people right away, right? So that if I say, oh, man, I met this guy, David Smith. I see him all the time in my networking meetings, and David is great with SEO. He's great with email marketing. He's the guy you should talk to, right? So if we be proactive and consistently follow up, it makes sure that people remember who we are when they have a need for our service, or if they want to refer us out. That make sense?
Definitely. Sounds like it goes back to that, one of those things that you had told me earlier, that 80% of sales are made between the 5th and the 20th touch.
Exactly.
And 89% of salespeople give up on or before the 4th touch. And so if you don't have a consistent follow-up system, you're going to probably end around the 4th touch if you're a real follow-up hero, and because you don't have a consistent system. And so the only way to push that forward to that 5th to the 20th touch that really makes the difference, you got to have a system.
Hey, Denise, you showed up. How are you?
I thought I had the link.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
All right. Great, you made it.
Okay. Well, Denise and everyone else on the webinar, we've just asked, why is it important to consistently follow up on business prospects, and so that we can get to the 5 to 20 touches that's necessary to make a result. And the relationships are so important. We build the relationship so you're top of mind when that other person needs your business. Okay, so Stan, I'd like to ask you a second question. How can consistent follow-up give you a competitive edge over your competition?
Well, let's see. How can consistent follow-up give you a competitive edge over your competition? We've all heard it a million times. It's the know, like, and trust factor, right? People do business with people that they know, like, and trust. Well, if they only see you one time, it's impossible for them to know, like, and trust you, right? And maybe even if they only see you at networking events, because I think that's another one of those fallacies, is that maybe we think that just because we see people at an event, maybe we see them over and over again, but all you get to really do is talk kind of at a surface level at those events, and you never really get beyond just that initial phase of meeting someone and getting to know who they are. And therefore, you really want to try and go beyond that. And when I talk about touches, and I'll actually talk a little bit more about this later on, is you want to figure out a way to build value. How can I build value? And the more value you build, the more know, like, and trust you get with a person, okay? And then it's the familiarity that, you know, what I talked about on the last slide was that no one's going to really remember you just from that first connection, right? So that's really the big key thing is the know, like, and trust factor. How can you build it? Build it by giving value.
Okay, very good. And so you think in terms of your competition may be at that same networking event. And if they meet you and another individual who provides the service or the product that you provide, and you build a relationship with them, the other person just hands them a business card and maybe sends them an e-blast. You know, who are they going to do business with? So yeah, definitely sets you apart. So very good, Stan. Okay, so another question, why is it important to consistently follow up with current clients?
You know, this one's really interesting because it amazes me how many businesses I've run into that basically the sale is a one and done. And at that point, they don't have much of a relationship with that client still, which means that you're limiting your income there. So there are a lot of things tied up in this one, such as the value ladder and, you know, referrals, add-on sales, all of those things. But the more you follow up with with current clients, and you will then start to create opportunities for add-on sales if you have built out your value ladder. So what is the value ladder? It is one of those concepts of I create a basic product or a basic service that gets the person in the door. And then I'm able to add on to that by offering additional services that will enhance that service that they previously bought, or I am creating a bigger and better experience for them that makes them continue to want more from me, from what I have to offer. And so the more that I can build out that value ladder means that I continue to have something to offer. If you are and it doesn't matter what kind of business it is. I'm thinking that, you know, whatever kind of business it is, if you have a product that you're selling, what can you add as a service to maybe enhance that product? If you have multiple products, you know, how do you then keep this person aware of, you purchased this, but I also have these other things? Think about the Amazon concept. Amazon says, you bought this product, others that bought this product also bought these, and they list out 3 or 4 other products. So what does that do? That means that they've literally added on to the sale because lots of people will click whatever those add-ons are, and it enhances that experience for them. So, you know, you can do something along those lines to continue to add sales, add services, add something that gives people a reason to continue to come back and see you, so that it's not a one and done. And the better that you do with that concept, the more referrals that you get as well, right? Because if it's somebody that's now a part of your tribe and they're continuing to use whatever it is you have to offer, they're going to refer you more because they're going to say, wow, this person really helped me a ton in my business. So you should check them out too.
So let's make it real, Stan. And let's say that I'm a chiropractor.
Okay.
And tell me about add-on sales, referrals, and the value ladder. So I'm a chiropractor, and you know, maybe I do a neck and back assessment, and I do an adjustment. Okay, tell me about my value ladder.
So a chiropractor might be one of those where they might even offer a massage. have a massage person in their office that brings the people in, because many chiropractors, not all, but chiropractors are all over the place with how they do what they do. I had one of my chiropractors that he would do a massage when you first, when you got there. Well, actually, even before that, you'd sit on this table or this chair that had rollers in it and all that stuff. Then he would do a massage. Then he would do the adjustment. Well, while he's doing the adjustment, he's educating me on drinking enough water and eating the right foods and sleeping on your side in more of a fetal position rather than on your back. And I mean, it was just a lot of advice all along the way, right? With what he's doing with that. Now, he could stop at that one adjustment and then it's done until the very next time that I see him for that. He could also offer educational seminars that would maybe even bring people into his value ladder in the beginning, but he can also put his services into packages, meaning that now instead of you just coming for one-off services at, whenever you feel like you need it, you get on a regimen. And now he builds out a value package and maybe he gives you a discount for signing up for the whole year. So now you've got the first step of that of maybe it's a massage. And then you come in and you're going to do the assessment to see where your body is and what you need. And then he's going to do adjustments, but he might offer you a package that extends out over the year. My guess is that, and some of the chiropractors also offer things like supplements, right? So that once they've really assessed where your body is, they see that, oh, these supplements are going to help you. So somewhere in there, they build in a supplement regimen for you that will help you. So there's a lot of different things that could be done in there. It just kind of depends on each business.
Sounds like a value ladder is a win-win proposition also, because on the chiropractor's side, he's turned maybe a $50, $75 adjustment into maybe a $150 package of some sort that is going to, bring that value in for him over the next, each month now for the next few months. And then on the client side, rather than getting the one and done adjustment, what they find is they're getting a more comprehensive health service. And so, a value ladder is definitely win-win. So,
I mean, when you think about with a chiropractor, I mean, some of them turn that one and done adjustment into a $2,500 or $5,000 a year program, right? Because now if somebody is invested in this program for this year, they're going to come consistently. And then hopefully if he's offering great service, he is going to now have somebody that's a much stronger referral partner for him and all that as well.
And the time you invest in creating that value ladder with your current clients can actually give you a greater ROI than going out and continually finding another client for another $50 neck and back adjustment, and then another client and another client. You can take your current clients and grow your business and profitability much more rapidly and sustainably with this value ladder.
That is right.
Excellent, Stan. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. Okay, so what are some of the common barriers to consistent follow-up? Why aren't we doing it?
What are the common barriers? So some of it's time, because if you think about a lot of these networking meetings, people go to these meetings and by the time they get back home, it's late, especially at those evening meetings. They get home, it's 9 or 10 at night. And then if they don't have a system in place, kind of the next day starts and they just dash into whatever it is that they've got for that day. They really haven't taken that time necessarily to to then make sure that they call or do something to follow up with these people. For some people, it's just the knowledge. They're just not sure how to build an automated system. That's where the challenge comes in. It's pretty easy to take those business cards and call a person. But if you call, don't get a response, then you call, you don't get a response. That's why most of these people that are selling something, or small business owners, whatever, they will give up after that second or third try. And the other factor in there is that they don't want to bug the person. They don't want to feel like they're hounding them. And so they give up after those first couple of tries. And so, but if they, and then technically challenged. So for some people, like I said, they don't really know how to set those systems up. And then the value ladder, right? And what's the sales process? And so every business should have a sales process that's very clear, that they understand. I have to walk people through point A, B, and C in order to get them into my world as a customer. And so if you think about putting the time in to learn how to build a system so that it automatically follows up with people, then that's going to help get them to follow up or respond back to you. But it also kind of forces your hand as well, because if it's automated, it just happens. You don't have necessarily a choice you can always turn off automations, but you assume that if you want to automate it, you want it to just happen and to reach out to people.
It appears to me that is your genius, Dan, and that was the genius with your martial arts company, that, a lot of people have knowledge. A lot of people, they learn about value ladders and follow-up steps. But once you systematize it and you create an automated system, it actually makes it happen, or it helps to really ensure that that's going to happen. That's the missing link, I think.
It does.
Okay, so tell me, what is a landing page? And why is a landing page an important follow-up tool?
Okay, landing pages. Essentially, the landing page is really your first step to your sales funnel. Now, and it's funny because you talk about sales funnels and a lot of people get confused with, well, what's a sales funnel? But if you ever worked for a corporation, back in the old days, what it was you would do a lot of different things to generate new prospects. And we used to have this visual. Where's my funnel? I have a funnel someplace. We have a visual of a funnel where we take,
I like your vision.
and we take all these leads and these prospects and we put them into this funnel, right? And then they go through your process, whatever your process is. And I'll give you an example with the martial arts business. The process was, and one example would be, we would go out to local events that would have lots of families that had kids. And we would do demonstrations. And we would give away free stuff. And in exchange for that free stuff, people would put their names into a bin that, so they could have an opportunity to win the free stuff. Well, we would then call them, and if they won, then obviously we'd give them what they won. But if not, we would invite them in for a free class, or for a free month was one of the best things that we did. We would bring them in for a free month. Now, they would come in for that first visit for their free month, and I would give their child a homework assignment. They'd go back home, work on their homework assignment. The kid would come back. If they completed their homework assignment, that's how they earned their uniform. So that was their first step. Now, once they earned their uniform, the parent was extremely excited, because they used to say to me, holy smokes, you got him to clean his room, make his bed, or fix his own breakfast, or get dressed by himself, whatever it was. You got them to do that after a 30-minute lesson, and I haven't been able to do that for my whole life. Now, what I did at that second visit was I offered them a special discount on the initial fee to get started in our program right now. I still gave them their 30 days. I gave them their month that we offered them, but I gave them a discount to get started right now. And so the regular payments would start after their 30 days was up. So I had 50% of those people that would come into that would start immediately in the program, and they would sign up right then. I had another 25% that would start, and they would actually sign up sometime within about a week after they started their 30-day program. And then about 25% were hit or miss. They were all over the place, with whatever they did. So my process was event, bring them in for this 30-day free trial for their initial consultation and their initial visit, have this child do this homework assignment, and then make them a special offer, right? And so that process worked extremely well for us. And so so my funnel was go to the events, get people to put their names into the box, into the bin, right? And then they just walked right through that process. Now, once I did that, they would then, of course, tell their friends and whatever. But that's how we grew it up to 250 members as quickly as we did. Was we knew exactly what worked to get those people to come in and get them excited. So you have to find something that is attractive to them. What is it that's of value, right? We talk about offering something of value. They saw value in having this 30-day trial because they could come in and try it out and make sure it worked before they invested the money in their child doing this thing, right? Because how many times do we sign kids up for something and then they say, I don't like it, I don't want to do it. So I gave them a way around that particular objection, right? And so this follow-up tool, this landing page is really the first step for doing that, but that's going to help to guide them exactly to what's the next action that we want them to take. So if we want them to go to our website and download this particular document, or we want them to go here and now fill out this survey, this questionnaire, because once they fill out the questionnaire, we know more about them and we can serve them better. So whatever your process is, that's what you want to build into this landing page so that it becomes the tool, the start of the tool to help you get this prospect to walk through the process.
So is the landing page available to people that knew nothing about you and they found that landing page on the internet? Or just kind of summarize. So the person starts out not knowing you at all. They don't know Stan. They don't know your martial arts business. And so just name the steps that move them through your process.
Sure. So people would, let's say somebody is, a mom is saying, oh my gosh, my child really needs more confidence, right? And somebody told them, pediatricians used to do this all the time. Pediatricians used to say, you want to build up their confidence or their discipline or their focus, put them in a martial arts program. So what did the parent do? They go to Google and they type in martial arts, and they probably type in their city, especially if you live in an area, like we're out here in Las Vegas. Somebody might say martial arts Summerlin because they want to find the schools that are close to them in Summerlin, right? And so mine would come up. They would click it.
Your landing page.
Right on. Yeah, and actually what I had was kind of a combination of a landing page website. My front page on my website really kind of doubled as my landing page as well. I just had a form. I had a call to action right there at the very top so that as soon as they went to my page, they saw free confidence report. And they would put in their information and click this. And then it would literally walk them through the steps. And it wasn't that many steps. So they would just they would take them to another page. And with that page, it gave them an offer. Sometimes the offer was $69 for 6 weeks. We did a lot of new enrollments off of that one, right? That was a big one for us. So they would go to this page, $69 for 6 weeks. They'd get all the details. They say, click the button that says buy now. They fill out the form, put in their credit card info, and boom, they would go to a page that says, thank you, here's your certificate for this, and someone will be in touch with you soon, but here's the phone number to reach the martial arts school. And so we would get the notification that this person bought it. Immediately when that notification came in, one of my team members was on the phone calling the person to schedule their first introductory lesson. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. Okay.
Okay.
Well, very good. That's excellent to systematize that process and think in terms of the customer flow, how they first meet you, and then how to engage them with successive steps. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So another question.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about email.
Yep.
And using email as a follow-up tool. What is a robust email system, and why is it an important follow-up tool?
Well, email, contrary to what some people think that email is dead. Nobody reads their emails. Now, it's low. The percentage is low. The best I ever had, well, it depends on the mailing and it depends on who your list is, right? Who the people are. But you typically, will get, like even right now with the chamber, we'll get about a 12% open rate, unless there's a very targeted list and there's something very specific that is exactly targeted for that list. And that's what you ideally want to get to with email, is make sure you've got very targeted, segmented lists and so forth. But the email is still one of the best tools that are out there. Now, text messaging is great as well, and you get higher open rates and so forth with text messaging. But with email, you can do a lot more with it, and just in terms of sharing more information, giving them links to specific things. There's just, it has some more flexibility around it. But the email system that you want is going to also allow or support automations, meaning that here's a sequence, and I have this further back here that we'll talk about a little bit, but here's a sequence. Think about this. You meet somebody at a networking event, and you immediately send out an email that says, hey, it was great to meet you. Love to get together and have coffee sometime. And then the person never responds. And then 7 days later, they get a second email that says, hey, I didn't hear back from you from the first message, but I'd really love to chat with you a little bit, because there were some great things that we had in common or whatever, right? And then maybe another 7 days go by, and then a third email goes. Well, those emails are driven off of automation, meaning that if they did not click the link to go and schedule appointment or something with you, then the email automation system knows that they did not click that link to schedule something, right? So you go and boom, you can now automate it to follow up based off of actions that the person takes or doesn't take inside the email.
Okay. Very good. Okay.
Yep.
Let's talk about, so you've got people on your email list, and you've got your pile of business cards. You're doing something with it rather than leaving it in one of your desk drawers or a shoe box. Let's talk about a little more sophisticated organization. What is a CRM and a database, and why are these essential follow-up tools?
Well, the CRM can make you look smarter and more on top of it than you are, right? Because literally, I'll give you a great example with the CRM that just kind of blows me away, because this guy sells millions of dollars a year in copier products. This guy's name is Fred. He's actually in town right now. Fred was one of my first mentors around CRM systems. And this was back in gosh, what was it? 96, 98, somewhere in there, right? I went to work with Fred selling office automation tools. So we sold computers and servers and software and all that kind of stuff. Well, we used a database. We used a CRM system, and it was an amazingly rudimentary and simple system. We used Microsoft Outlook. We
Hmm.
it up a little bit, but it was Microsoft Outlook, right? And we used that to call from every day. So we would call people, call our prospects on the phone, and then we would put notes in there as to what happened in that conversation and what are the next steps. And we would set target dates for when we were going to call that person the next time. But let's suppose that I called you and I talked with you and I found out that your birthday was on a certain day. I'd plug that in so that it would let us know when your birthday was coming up. And we would either call you or we would send you a card or something along those lines. We didn't send as many emails back in those days because email was really still just starting, right? We'd send out a physical card that would go to your office or, whatever address we had to say happy birthday. Let's suppose you told us about some specific incident or a problem or a challenge or a great thing that was going on. Your son went to college or whatever. We would now have those notes in the database. So the next time I call you, I have those notes and I can look at those notes and say, oh yeah, this is what happened in the last conversation with David. So when I call you and I then ask you about that, I say, hey, how did that ever turn out? How did that go? Did this thing work out for you or whatever, right? So that now when I call it, the interaction is much more personable than just, hey, buy my stuff, buy my stuff, buy my stuff. We're going to have an actual conversation. That is one of those competitive advantages that puts you ahead of the other guy. Because if the other guy is calling, hey, I'm just calling to see if you're ready to take a look at a copier machine, right? This guy calls people, he'd call dozens of people a day. And literally, he has these very personable conversations with all these people. So when they're ready for a copier, they knew who to call, right? Because this guy was the guy that always was on top of everything, okay? And so that was a huge, huge lesson for me. And let's see here. And then the other thing that modern day CRM systems will do is they will actually help you automate any of the actions. Let's suppose that you've got a person that's in your prospect list. As soon as they buy something and that's shown and tagged and recorded in your system can automatically take this person now and move them to the customer list, right? And then you can make it say, once this person is in the customer list, I want to follow up 30 days later. Now you'll get notifications that you need to follow up with this customer in the next 30 days. There's all kinds of automations that you can build inside of your CRM system, but that's going to be much more sophisticated than the basic email tool. So that's obviously going to be a little bit more expensive as well, but it will make you and your business look so much more efficient and on top of it and organized and everything.
One thing I found out about CRM systems and email marketing tools, and I don't know if this is still true, but it's been my experience in the past, is that you have tools that just do email marketing. You have tools that are just CRMs, and then you have some tools that claim to do both. They're mainly CRMs, but they have a little email marketing attachment, or they're email marketing tools with a little CRM attachment. What I found in the past, I'm wondering if you could speak to this, Stan, is that you really need to get a CRM tool from a CRM company that makes CRM tools, and they have a great tool. You need to get an email marketing tool from an email marketing company, subscribe to that tool, but don't try to get the one that includes both, because they're going to do one well and the other not so well. What have you found, Stan?
Yeah, very similar. I think that that comes down to knowing what your true needs are and where you're going, right? And you can always change tools down the road. It's painful and I don't like to, but you can always do it, right? And many of these companies now will help you change the tools, but knowing where you are and what your needs are, because there's a big price difference also. When you get the big full blown all in one system, you'll get people that will sell you a tool that will do everything, and they'll claim that it is the best at all of those. I agree. They're going to typically be stronger in one area than the other, but also you tend to spend more money, and you're spending a lot more money than you may need to right at that very moment. So if you're a very small business, you're starting out, and you're looking for a tool that's going to help you and can grow with you, then what are your biggest needs at the moment right now? If you are totally phone-based, like my buddy's copier business, where he does most of his work on the phone, a strong CRM system might be the better way to go that can handle pushing out some of those emails. If you are a business that you do much more of your marketing through email, or you want to do much more of it through email, then maybe starting with a system that does that can also grow into the CRM tool. Maybe that's a good way to go, right? But there are so many choices out there these days. It comes down to what are your needs, and you want to pick the best tool that's going to meet the need. So that's the key for me, is what's the need?
It seems to me that this is another part of your genius, Stan, is that a person chooses a tool that may not be the best tool for them. They're putting all their information in the tool, they're putting all their training, and they're investing in that time to onboard with that tool. And if it's not the best tool for them or the most appropriate, that's going to be a waste of time and money. It really does help to check with someone like Stan, who can look at your needs and then help you select the most appropriate tool.
You know what the worst part of all that is, though, is when you select a tool, you put a ton of time and effort into it, maybe lots of data into it, but you still get so frustrated with using the tool that you just don't use it, right? I see it all the time.
You're paying the monthly fee.
Yeah, and you're paying this monthly fee, and you keep thinking, okay, I'm going to learn how to use it. I'm going to learn how to use it. But it's too difficult for you to learn how to use it, so you just never get to it. But continue paying this fee, right? And I've seen that. Oh my gosh, I've seen that so many times. I can't even tell you. I've seen it with martial arts systems. I've seen it with, just other all-in-one systems, all-in-one tools, where people are just too confused with it. So you want something that you're going to understand, that you're going to use right now. And that's why I say, what is your need? And get the right tool that meets that need, but can grow with your needs based on where you expect you're going to go.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. Okay. So another question, how can automating your networking follow-up system make consistent follow-up both easy and sustainable?
All right. So I look at that question and I say that one, systems will help you with creating habits, right? The part of the process for us, and when I talk about systems, I'm not just talking about computer systems or automated systems. I'm talking about systems that you use to run your business, right? And so for us, like in the martial arts world, the system was, how do we get new contacts, new leads, and then the phone call, schedule for the intro. They come into the intro, and we gave the kid this homework assignment, and we rescheduled them for the next visit, and they came into the next visit, and then we gave them an offer. That there was a systematic way of doing that. I wrote that system out on paper, and anybody that came to work for me in a role where they were going to be doing that, I gave them that to study, said, here, study this, memorize this, role play it. We're going to role play it. We're going to work on it. And now when I put them into those roles, they were successful. I never had anyone that was not successful in it, and that's because it was a systematic way of bringing these people into the business. So when you create these systems and you document these systems, and then you consistently do these systems, they build those habits. Well, those habits build the consistency. That means that whoever I put into that role knew how to do this system. So therefore, when somebody new came in, they already automatically knew what to do. We were consistent all the way across the board. If I have an automated email system for following up with people, if I will make it a habit to get those people, those new contacts' names entered into my database, and as soon as they hit the database, the system automatically generates the response. Now it's going to help me with being consistent across the board. And if you build out a simple 3 to 5 email sequence, right, that you're going to follow up with your important contacts. You see there, I have that labeled as important, and I'll explain what important is down the road in a little bit later here. But that sequence, that little system right there is going to force you to be more consistent as well with the follow-up with people. And then you want to make sure you're putting people into the networking contact categories. And so let me just talk about that for a second, these categories. I look at networking contacts, and they go into 4 categories. They are either people that I think will be great for my A team, and my A team are people like the Dream 100. Now, what is the Dream 100? I'm not going to get deeply into that, but the Dream 100 are, who are your 100 best prospects to talk to? And the dream, if this person fits for my Dream 100, then that's somebody that's potentially on my whole A team concept. There may be an influencer. There's somebody that if I can network with them, they can help me to promote my business. I can help them to do something with their business. So I want to connect with influencers so that we can somehow work together. They might be I didn't put it on here, but a power partner is similar to that whole influencer concept, or they're an affiliate partner, or they might be somebody that's a referral partner. But this A team are the people that are essentially they're my salespeople, but they are not on my staff as employees, right? But they're my sales team because they're the people that are sending business to me on a regular basis. And we could dive really deeply into that one, but we won't go into all that. The customer prospect is the second one. So if the person isn't into my A team necessarily, they might be a good customer prospect, or at that point at a network meeting, they're really a suspect, right? They're somebody that I think is potentially a good prospect. But if I do a one-to-one or something with them and I get to have a conversation with them more, then I find out whether they make a good customer prospect or not. The third one is a vendor. Is it somebody that I can buy from, that somebody that has something that I need, that I recognize that I have a need for right at this moment? And the fourth one is just they kind of fit into the other category. It's great people to see and know, and when I go to a networking meeting, I know who they are, and they might refer somebody to me at some point in time, but I'm not going to spend a bunch of time trying to follow up and go have coffee and all of that, because you can waste a bunch of time with that other category. So I want to make sure that I'm categorizing people into the area that makes the most sense. And then I want to build my email sequences specifically for that category of contact. All that.
Okay, we're getting close to the end here. I want to leave a little time to ask, to open up, let people ask a couple questions. And so I did have a last question for you, Stan. We may want to go to group questions instead. But my last question was, if you could do just one thing the people that are in the webinar, if they could just take one action, what might that be?
You know what? So I'm going to do this. I'm going to go here.
Good. Okay.
Because that comes down to where you are, right? And what I do is meet people where they are and figure out, okay, you're here and you want to go there, then what's really the next step, right? But I'll give you a couple of examples though. I had a lady that I worked with. She was my embroidery lady in the martial arts business, right? So I've worked with her for 15 years. She did my embroidery all the time and all kinds of cool stuff. But it was only when I decided to start doing the small business coaching, training, helping people with their business that we have a conversation about her business and her operations. She made the comment one day that she was struggling. It was right around Christmas time. It was in December, and it was right around Christmas time. And she said, man, business is so slow. And I don't know what to do. And I said, well, do you have all of your customers in an email list? And she said, no. I said, okay, are you using an accounting program? And do you have them entered in that accounting program? No. I said, okay, how do you reach out and communicate with contacts? And she said, well, I really don't. And her contacts were at like schools and organizations clubs, organizations that always needed embroidery work. And so the very first thing I had her do was go through all of her documents, her emails, everything, and create an email list in a spreadsheet. Just put it in a spreadsheet. Because if it's in a spreadsheet, we can put it into any number of other systems, right? So if you're at a point where you have nothing at all, then a spreadsheet is the best place to start because that helps to organize it. And you put them in a spreadsheet by column, which a database looks at as a field, meaning I want a first name, a last name, and address, street address, city, state, zip, email, phone number. So any piece of data that I want to capture, I want it in its own column in that spreadsheet. So that's a great place to start if you have nothing in place. Now, the flip side of that might be that, yeah, you're doing all kinds of regular emails to people, but it's not in a CRM system. Then we'd want to start by asking the question, what are your needs? Why do you need a CRM system? And looking at that, and then going out and picking the right CRM system for you.
Well, Stan, you have given some amazing, valuable information today. And why don't you give your contact information so that people can contact you and maybe they want these slides that you've shared with us.
I can absolutely share the slides, but I also have this, I called it a networking email sequence flowchart that I can send to everyone. And in fact, what you can do is if you want it, my email is at the bottom, but I did not should have put a big slide with my contact info, huh? I didn't do that.
Well, why don't you just say it? It's not
I can tell you what it is. So yeah, it's at the bottom of this sheet. So if you get this sheet, you'll be able to, you'll see it down there. You'll also see another special offer down there. Get Response is one of the email systems that I like that also has a CRM system built onto the back end. And Get Response has a 30-day free trial. One of the reasons I like Get Response is because Get Response is it's at a great price point in comparison to all the other systems out there. So the value of what you get is much more, it's much higher with Get Response than with many of those other systems that are out there. But the easy way to reach me is by email is Stan, so my first name, it'll be Stan, S-T-A-N, at StaninShields, SHIELDS.com.
Very good. And Stan, Just a couple words about what you do for businesses.
Well, I help them put sequences like this in place. I will help you select your CRM system if that's what you're looking for. I will also help you just figure out what's the technology. What do you have? Many people, and it's funny. I have no idea of the ages of who's on the call or who will ever see this video, but there are a lot of people that are, I'm going to say, 40 plus, maybe 45 plus, that are just overwhelmed with technology and they don't really understand the technology. They're confused by it. And they're like, okay, I know people are doing these things like landing pages and they're building sales funnels and they're doing all this stuff. I don't know how to do that stuff. It confuses me. Well, call me. I'll help unconfuse you. I can help you figure out what do you have, where are you trying to go, and then what are the right systems to get you there.
Excellent. So I encourage people to contact Stan at Stan N, as in Nancy, Shields, stannshields.com, and just cut down on that onboarding time with and all the time that you might waste going down the wrong rabbit hole as you're trying to grow your business and move it to the next level, or you're trying to start out a business. So Stan, this has been truly valuable. Thank you so much, and we wish everyone that's on this call or listens to this webinar the best of luck and good fortune, and as you grow your business. So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. It was great. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Very good.